Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. Let's just say this. If your stomach ever drops before your mind catches up, you already know what I felt that morning. The video didn't start with her. It started with music, loud, shaky bass from someone's phone camera at 2 a.m., lights strobing, laughter echoing in the background. Nothing strange at first. I almost scrolled past it, until I saw a familiar hand on the edge of the frame. Red nails. Tiny lightning bolt tattoo on the ring finger. It was her, Brenna. She was laughing, spinning, and, God, I wish I was wrong, sitting on a guy's lap in a booth surrounded by sparklers and empty bottles. Her hair was pulled back the way she does when she's drinking. I saw her pour a shot into his mouth. He wiped his chin. She didn't flinch, didn't pull back, just leaned in and whispered something into his ear. He laughed, and his hand slid to the inside of her thigh. The video cut off there. The worst part? She told me the bar had no signal. She told me they stayed in a cabin. She told me it was all yoga and Netflix and hot cocoa. She didn't know I'd see the video. She didn't know I'd be tagged by someone who recognized her in the background. And I didn't know that morning would be the beginning of something I could never unsee. This wasn't just a party. This wasn't just a night. This was a marriage coming apart, frame by frame. And the rest of the story is much worse. I didn't say anything when she came back downstairs. She looked refreshed, wrapped in a robe, scrolling through her phone like she hadn't just returned from what looked like an audition for Heartbreak. I asked her how it went. She gave me the same half-baked story she had already texted earlier. Lots of wine, lots of board games, a hot tub that didn't work, and too much sugar. She even giggled like she thought I'd find it cute. But all I could hear was the laughter from the video echoing in my head, looping like a punishment. I didn't bring it up yet. Not that night. I needed to be sure before I shattered something that couldn't be repaired. At around 2 a.m., while she slept peacefully beside me, I got out of bed and sat in the hallway with my laptop on my knees. I rewatched the clip, this time slowing it down, pausing at each frame. That guy. He wasn't just a stranger. His face was familiar. It took me an hour to realize why. He was in one of Brenna's older photos from her college days, someone named Reed. I clicked through her tagged posts from years ago. There he was again, this time with his arm around her waist, both of them in swimsuits, drunk off their faces by some lake. Just friends, she once told me. I had believed it without question. God, I hate how easily I believe things. The next morning, I made coffee and waited. When she walked in, all sleepy-eyed and barefoot, I said, as calmly as I could, Brenna, who's Reed? The cup in her hand froze midway to her mouth. For a split second, just a flicker, her face changed. It wasn't confusion. It was recognition and panic. She tried to recover, smiled nervously, and said, Oh my God, why are you asking about him? He just happened to be in town. We ran into him. Nothing happened. I nodded. Cool. Want to see something? I played the video. I watched her watch it. No interruptions. No excuses. Just silence, like she was waiting for her own body to vanish. Her lips parted, then shut. Her eyes welled up. And then she said it. Please don't make this bigger than it was. That's when I knew. It wasn't just a bad decision. It was betrayal. And she wanted me to shrink it down into something I could live with. But I wasn't sure I could. After she uttered those words, please don't make this bigger than it was, I just stood there, staring at her. My mouth was dry, but my mind was flooded. It's weird, the way people can beg you to minimize their betrayal while still smelling like the perfume they wore when it happened. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't confess. She simply tried to control the damage, like this was PR and not real life. I told her I needed air, grabbed my hoodie, and left the house without even knowing where I was going. I ended up just sitting in my car in the grocery store parking lot, watching rain hit the windshield while the wipers squeaked uselessly. When I got back home 2 hours later, she was gone. No note. No message. Just silence and the faint smell of her shampoo lingering in the hallway. I figured she went to her sister's. That would be her safe zone. The one place I wouldn't dare show up unannounced. And that gave me time. I wasn't planning to snoop. Honestly, I wasn't. But her weekend bag was still by the front door, unzipped like it was daring me to look. I sat beside it for 10 minutes, just staring at it. Then I reached in. The first thing I noticed was a dress she hadn't posted in any photos, a deep red one with sequins and a scent that didn't belong to me. Underneath, it was a gift bag. Inside that, a blindfold, 2 dice labeled kiss and drink, and a black lace bralette I'd never seen before in my life. Still had the tags on it. Not anymore. I ripped them off in one sudden motion like that would somehow undo everything. Then came the worst part. Tucked into a side pocket, hidden between a compact mirror and a pack of gum, was a folded note. Not a text. Not an email. An actual handwritten note. On hotel stationery. Thanks for the unexpected night. Still smells like you. R. My heart didn't just sink. It twisted. I held that piece of paper like it was radioactive. I wanted to scream, to punch the wall, to tear every picture of our wedding off the shelves. But instead, I sat down on the floor and stared at the carpet until the daylight shifted across it. My mind couldn't accept it, yet every piece of evidence was screaming. When she returned that evening, I didn't say anything. I just placed the note on the kitchen table. She froze when she saw it. For a moment, I thought she might try to spin it, lie again, or even play dumb. But she just closed her eyes and said, I didn't mean for it to get that far. That sentence felt like a knife. Didn't mean for it to get that far? So it was true. All of it. And she was standing in my kitchen, admitting it like it was a delivery order that got out of hand. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even lie down. I just sat at the edge of the couch, holding that note like it was the last clue in some cruel riddle I never wanted to solve. Thanks for the unexpected night. Still smells like you. That single sentence replayed in my mind so many times, I started to hear it in my own voice. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I just unraveled slowly. Like every minute that passed was a thread being pulled out of me. By morning, I had a name. Reed. I remembered seeing him years ago in one of Brenna's tagged photos from college. A summer lake trip, her in cut-off shorts, him shirtless and grinning like he owned the world. I used her old Facebook posts, scanned mutual friends, followed digital breadcrumbs I never thought I'd need. Eventually, I landed on his Instagram. It was public. Of course it was. Guys like that always want to be seen. His most recent post? A group shot at a bar in Asheville, dated the same night as the video. And there she was, in the background. Not front and center, not posing, but laughing, blurred, undeniable. I zoomed in until my screen pixelated, but the image had already scorched itself into my brain. Reed had captioned it, Unexpected Weekend Wins. Comments filled with flames and winks and high fives. It made me sick. My hands shook as I messaged him. I didn't know what I was going to say. I just knew I needed something. Closure? Confirmation? Maybe I just wanted him to know that I existed. That she wasn't single. That he wasn't just a weekend memory to be high-fived over. He replied an hour later. One line. Didn't know she was married. My bad, man. That was it. No apology. No regret. Not even a question. Like I was some speed bump on the way to his next win. I showed Brenna the message that night. She read it, silent, expressionless. I waited, hoping for a reaction. Guilt, shame, something human. Instead, she whispered, he wasn't supposed to post anything. That broke me more than the cheating itself. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry it got caught. I walked out of the room before I could say something I'd regret. But in truth, it was already too late for both of us. The damage wasn't just done, it was thriving in the silence between us. And I wasn't sure I wanted to fix it anymore. I hadn't planned on talking to her sister. Clover had always been the energetic, impulsive type, fun at parties, but exhausting at family dinners. We'd never been particularly close, just orbiting around each other out of mutual obligation. But something about the way Brenna kept repeating, it didn't mean anything, and it was just one night, started to wear thin. If it really was just one mistake, why did she look so scared every time her phone buzzed? Why did she keep changing the subject every time I mentioned her weekend? And why, out of everyone, had Clover gone radio silent? It was a Tuesday afternoon when I texted Clover. Just a simple message. Hey, do you have a sec? Need to ask about Asheville. She left me on read for hours. I didn't press. I waited. When she finally replied, it was a voice memo. Hey Elwood, yeah, sure. What's up? I called her. She picked up on the third ring, sounding like someone who already knew they were about to trip over their own words. I kept my tone even. Clover, I saw a video. From the bar. Brenna hasn't told me much. I need to know if you were there when she met that guy. Reed. The line went quiet for too long. I thought she might hang up. Then, with a sigh so heavy it felt like a confession itself, she said, Elwood, she told you it was just one night? Yeah. Another pause. Then, that's not true. I felt everything inside me sink like concrete in water. She continued, voice low now. It wasn't just the bar. She and Reed, they snuck away after the winery tour. Saturday afternoon. We were supposed to meet back at the cabin by 6 for dinner. She didn't show up until nearly 9. And she was different, like she'd flipped a switch. I asked where she was, and she said, don't worry about it. Just be cool. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't speak. I couldn't. My throat tightened. I'm sorry, Clover added. I didn't want to get in the middle. I thought she'd tell you eventually, or that maybe it really was just a stupid mistake. But if she's still lying to you now, that's not fair. Fair. I almost laughed at the word. Like there was any fairness left in this mess. I thanked her and hung up. My hands were numb. My brain felt like it was overheating. I sat on the kitchen floor, staring at the cabinets, remembering how just a week earlier Brenna had stood there making pancakes and humming along to a podcast, acting like our life was whole. But it wasn't. It was hollow. And I'd been too trusting, too blind, too patient to see it. Later that night, I told Brenna what her sister said. She didn't deny it. She didn't even blink. She just said, I was going to tell you eventually. Eventually. Like honesty was a favor she hadn't gotten around to granting yet. I don't know why I expected anything different when I asked her to tell me the truth. All of it. Maybe I thought there was still something inside her that felt guilty, something that might crawl out from under the weight of the lies. But what I got wasn't an apology or even a breakdown. It was venom. She snapped like I'd just accused her of something she hadn't already admitted to in pieces. And somehow, I ended up being the bad guy for wanting clarity. It started when I sat her down in the living room. No yelling, no drama. Just me and her, quiet and exhausted. I told her what Clover had said. I asked her if there was more. If the weekend was really just one long mistake that started before the bar and didn't end when she got home. Her face darkened. I'd seen that look before, but only in arguments when she was trying to win, never when she was supposed to be ashamed. She stood up, arms crossed, pacing like she was deciding how to spin it. Then she finally said, why are you digging? You already know what happened. Isn't that enough? Do you want me to draw you a diagram or something? I didn't say a word. I just stared at her. That silence must have gotten to her, because then she added, fine. You want it? I'll give it to you. We hooked up more than once. It wasn't some grand affair. It wasn't love. It was stupid and fast and loud and messy. Are you happy now? I wasn't. I was wrecked. But what hit me hardest wasn't the details. It was the coldness in her delivery, like she was checking boxes on a form. I asked her why. Just that. One word. Why? She looked at me like I was naive. Because I needed to feel like someone still wanted me. Someone who didn't talk spreadsheets every night and fall asleep during movies. Someone who looked at me like I was still exciting. That one landed. She knew it. I think she even took satisfaction in how deep it cut. I told her I didn't deserve this. That if she felt neglected, she could have said something. That betrayal doesn't fix distance, it makes it permanent. And that's when she truly snapped. She shouted, you want to be the victim so badly. Like I'm the monster and you're the poor little husband who didn't see it coming. But you stopped showing up for me long before I stopped caring. The words echoed, ringing in my ears long after she left the room. I sat alone again, this time feeling not just betrayed, but blamed for the betrayal. She hadn't just cheated on me. She rewrote our whole marriage in a single argument. And maybe that was the most painful part. I think most people expect some kind of movie moment after betrayal. A dramatic monologue, a slammed door, maybe a suitcase flying down the stairs. But none of that happened. Instead, I became very quiet. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I didn't threaten her with divorce or demand answers she clearly wasn't willing to give. I just started observing. Not her me. I paid attention to how I moved around her now. How I instinctively flinched when she walked past me in the hallway. How I hesitated before responding to anything she said. Even something as simple as, pass the salt. My body had become a stranger in its own home. She acted like things could somehow return to normal. Like the only issue between us was that we both said things we didn't mean. She even suggested we go to dinner the following weekend, just the two of us. I nodded. I didn't argue. But that same night, while she slept, I sat in my car and started quietly moving things forward. I opened a new bank account. I called my cousin Marshall, who lived 3 states away and owed me a favor. I began transferring small amounts of money and slowly gathering important documents: passport, social security card, birth certificate. I didn't take everything at once. I didn't want her to notice. It wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming something she had slowly chipped away at: my peace. The next few days were unbearable. She would try to talk to me while folding laundry, acting like things were awkward but manageable. She cooked my favorite meals. She started watching the shows I liked, things she never paid attention to before. At one point, I caught her watching me with a strange kind of desperation in her eyes. I wondered if she regretted it, or if she just regretted that I found out. It all came to a head the morning I left a note. I didn't say goodbye in person. I knew I'd cave if I did. I left early, before sunrise, the way she had when she went to Asheville. The irony wasn't lost on me. On the kitchen table, I left a short letter. Not bitter, not poetic, just clear. You lied. Then you blamed me. I won't stay in a place where love is negotiated and loyalty is optional. I hope someday you understand what you destroyed. I took my bag, locked the door behind me, and drove away from the house we spent 7 years building. No one saw me leave. No one stopped me. And for the first time in months, the silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like freedom. I didn't expect peace to feel so unfamiliar. The first morning I woke up in Marshall's guest room, it felt like my body was still waiting for something. An argument, a slammed door, the low hum of tension filling the room. But none of that came. Just birds outside the window, the smell of burnt coffee from Marshall's ancient machine, and a strange quiet I hadn't known in years. And that's when it hit me. I'd gotten so used to chaos, I forgot what calm was supposed to feel like. I started rebuilding slowly. I found a remote job in a small town 3 hours away. Nothing flashy, just enough to keep me moving forward. I rented a modest one-bedroom apartment with creaky floors and mismatched cabinets. But it was mine, every inch of it. I could breathe in there. No lies hiding in drawers. No perfume I didn't recognize on pillowcases. No pretending. Brenna texted a few times. At first, she sent long messages full of half apologies and twisted logic about how we both failed. Then came the shorter ones. I miss you. Are you really gone? I didn't respond. Not once. Because every time I thought about replying, I remembered the video, the note, the way she looked at me and said, it didn't mean anything. And I realized, I deserved more than a story that needed constant justifying. I spent weeks unlearning things. That love doesn't mean sacrificing your dignity. That loyalty shouldn't be begged for. And that leaving isn't failure, it's survival. One evening, sitting on the porch with a blanket and a book, I felt it. That thing I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. Not for her. Not even for us. But for me. For a version of myself that wasn't constantly shrinking to keep someone else comfortable. So yeah, maybe I didn't get a perfect ending. But I got a real one. One that didn't require pretending. And that, for me, was enough. Thanks for following this journey here on Reddit Confessions. If you've ever walked away from something broken and found peace on the other side, you're stronger than you think. Comment below, what's one historical moment, big or small, that changed your perspective on love, loyalty, or freedom? We'd love to hear your thoughts.